The grand finale of an anxious-avoidant relationship. If you're an anxious type and your partner is an avoidant, 99% of the time, the beginning of your relationship is incredibly sweet, but the later stages will be filled with mutual hurt. Why? For the avoidant, whenever they feel pressure or feel cornered in the relationship, their coping mechanism is to flee. You'll notice them running hot and cold, ignoring texts, not answering calls, disappearing after a minor disagreement, and refusing to communicate. In this situation, the anxious type can't eat or sleep. They spend their days agonizing, unable to figure out what on earth went wrong between them to end up like this. They can't get a straight answer, so they chase the avoidant, begging them to just be clear. The anxious person is desperate to solve the problem, but the avoidant couldn't care less. The anxious type tries to have a good conversation with the avoidant, but after just a few sentences, the avoidant shuts down. This makes the anxious partner even more anxious. They start to self-reflect, wondering if they are the problem and what they did wrong. After this self-reflection, the anxious type writes a long essay and sends it to the avoidant. In response, the avoidant becomes even more distant, cold, and impatient. They are now stuck in a vicious cycle. Does this pattern sound painfully familiar? So if anxious and avoidant types just end up hurting each other, why do they fall in love in the first place? It's because these two personalities have a naturally fatal attraction to one another. Psychology shows that we are fundamentally drawn to people because of a sense of recognition and similarity. When an anxious person meets an avoidant, it's like looking in a mirror. They recognize in the avoidant the same uncertain hot and cold dynamic from their childhood. This creates a strange sense of familiarity and comfort. Even though they know they dislike this feeling, they find it irresistible. The avoidant type, likely never having been properly loved or cared for as a child, has lived a very repressed life. Suddenly, they meet an optimistic and energetic anxious type who gives them immense love and understanding. They thoroughly enjoy this feeling. They need this love. But in reality, both of them have fallen in love with a fantasy of the other person. As their relationship deepens, the avoidant's true nature emerges. They are more pragmatic and more sensitive to danger than the anxious type. When they realize the anxious partner is also needy and will demand their care and energy, which they feel they don't have enough of, the avoidance defense mechanisms kick in. Their thought process is, this person is too much trouble. I can't handle this. I need to run. They immediately detach from their relationship. They are incapable of empathy because, at this moment, protecting themselves is more important. They conclude that their partner is not the one for them and their relationship has no future. Furthermore, avoidants lack the mindset for collaborative problem solving. In a relationship, they are more focused on self-preservation. Meanwhile, the anxious partner is still wearing their rose-colored glasses, stuck on their first impression of the avoidant. They fantasize about growing old together, thinking about how amazing, calm, and collected their partner is. They believe that if they just communicate properly, they can fix everything. So they keep giving, keep searching for answers, all while suffering and doubting what they did wrong. At this point, the avoidant will give 100% radio silence. The anxious partner doesn't get the response they need, and the avoidant doesn't get the space they want. They begin to be unable to stand each other. The truth is, both types are carrying baggage from their upbringing, and it's these negative emotions that are running the relationship. Neither person is intentionally trying to torture the other. If just one of them were a secure person with high self-worth, the relationship wouldn't be so painful. So to make it work long-term, it requires conscious effort from both sides. For the anxious type, stop fixating on your partner's thoughts and feelings. Instead, focus on their actions. For the avoidant type, you need to learn to understand your partner's needs instead of being purely self-focused and dismissive. Understand that when your partner needs you, isn't to trap you, it's to maintain and strengthen the relationship. As long as both of you commit to continuous self-reflection and growth, building trust and mutual understanding, you can break the cycle. Get it?